Hello guys, welcome. Today I have a great video from Michael Knowles where he schools a work student who tries to set him up and get him cancelled. Let's jump straight into the video and watch.
Before I state my question, I just want to honor that we are all standing on the land that belongs to the Ojibwe Anishinaabe people.
Thank you for mentioning that. I meant to mention that at the beginning of my speech, but I'm glad that
Dakota,
you put.
Northern Cheyenne, and they have been here for time immemorial, and so that leads into my question. So you make the statement that transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, and so I'm going to ask you a question about that, but prior to that, I want to just state that for 5,000 years BC, Gala transcribed and androgynous trans priests of Sumerian goddesses have been around and noted. 200 to 300 years before Christ in ancient Greece, there were gods worshipped by Gali priests who wore feminine attire and identified as women. Since we are standing on Anishinaabe land, Turtle Island, which is the nation that we live under, has
I don't live under
two-spirited
Turtle
people.
Island.
Right, well, maybe you should read a little more Indigenous knowledge books. And Indigenous communities have used two-spirit personas for the entirety of their culture, and so that leads me to my question. When you say that transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, I ask you, Mr. Knowles, how can we eradicate something that has been here as long as humans have?
Well, yeah, there have been all sorts of crazy, terrible ideas for a very long time, too. You're pointing to civilizations that committed human sacrifice, okay? You're saying that some ancient pagan tribe worshipped demons and therefore we need to castrate children. That's not a good argument. Yes, that's true. There were all sorts of terrible tribes. In fact, as recently as a little over 500 years ago, the Aztecs here in the Western Hemisphere slaughtered 80,000 people in a sacrifice to one of the demons that they worshipped within the span of 4 days. That's not a recommendation of doing that. I don't think that we ought to consider it. Though, unfortunately, in our increasingly pagan and liberal culture, we do commit human sacrifice to the tune of 800,000 babies a year sacrificed through abortion, and it would make the Aztecs blush what we do. But that doesn't make it the right thing. You refer to a notion that is increasingly popular on the left, which is the idea of the two-spirit among various indigenous tribes. That is not real. That is a contrivance of white liberals in America. There have been various conceptions of sex and gender for all of human history, but the idea of the two-spirited indigenous intuition of some modern transsexual living in New York City who's a man who very much desires to be a woman, that is a complete fiction. You will not find that in literature dating very far back. So what does it say about the question itself? The question, regardless of what the ancient Sumerians believed before they chopped up little kids or whatever, is it true? Can a man really be a woman, and can a woman really become a man? We all know that the answer to that question is false. That's why Professor McCloskey pulled out of our debate at the last moment next week, because even a distinguished professor knows, he has the intelligence to know, even if he is transgender identifying himself, that he can't win that debate because the idea is indefensible. So the question becomes, how does one know that someone with the total physical appearance of a man, how can one know that that person really is a woman? Do you have an answer to that question?
To clarify, you're asking how can somebody know if they are a woman?
And how can I know if that person is a woman? If not by the physical attributes, their natural and enduring biological sex. What's the alternative to that?
So my response to you is then a question of, what is the purpose of knowing another person's sexual identity? But let me finish.
Yeah.
If it's not for the premise of reproduction, and there's no need to relate outside of that, then I don't quite understand why we would need to question or.
So this is what happens whenever you ask a transgender activist to explain even the basic premise of the movement, is they'll immediately say, well, who cares? Why are you so obsessed with this? I'm not obsessed with this. I'm not the one who started sending men into the women's bathroom and taking away their trophies and castrating kids. I'm perfectly happy with the way things have worked for thousands of years. It is the transgender activists who are trying to upend everything. And so I think it it is at least my right to ask the question, okay, what is the premise of your movement? But they always deflect from that. They always withdraw from the debate. They always try to change the subject because there is no answer. So you ask me, well, what's the purpose of, why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biological sex? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women. We have special sports leagues for women. We have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges and that are for women that are not for men. So if now some men, people who at the very least appear to be men, are claiming a right to go into those women's bathrooms, then we either have to abolish all of the special rights and privileges that have existed for women for all of human history and are enshrined in our law, or they need to explain to me how those men are actually women. And they can't do the latter, and I'm not willing to do the former, and I don't think women across this country are willing to do the former, even if a few people have been so ideologically blinded that they would give in to this kind of an absurdity.
What a video. What a video. You know, the sad part or the sad reality is that this woman, she actually thinks that she's right. You know, she actually thinks that she's intelligent and she's the one who's right and Michael is the one who's wrong. Probably should, even after, engaging in this conversation with Michael, probably she went to her friends and told her, you know what, I just schooled Michael. Can you imagine? And probably this lady is even a college student. Can you imagine? What are they teaching in schools nowadays? I mean, let's face the facts, guys. What are they teaching in colleges? Huh? You know, this lady is a perfect example of a little knowledge is dangerous. Oh, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Even the Bible says it. People perish because of lack of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, what you don't know may be used against you. Yeah. She's a perfect example of when little knowledge is dangerous. Hey, what's even crazy is that Michael had to explain basic biology to an adult. And this lady only represents, a very big number of many others out there, particularly other students. Yeah. I mean, she said, why do you need to know anyone's gender at all? It's none of your business. Okay, if that's the case, then she should also explain, why those people, they do those parades, in the streets, proclaiming it to everyone, letting everybody know who they are identifying as. Why are they doing it? If it's, talking about gender is none of anyone's business, why are they doing those parades, going into the streets and letting everybody know that, hey, I'm identifying as this? Why are they doing it? I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. One thing that I love about Michael, from watching his videos, he really knows how to debate. I mean, Michael, he's just on another level, he really knows how to debate. He doesn't, whenever he does his debates, he's never offensive or rude, he actually let the lady speak, and the way he explained, he was very articulate, and showed her that she was wrong, articulately, without being rude or attacking the lady's character or even cursing. No. No. I mean, Michael is a perfect example of, simply telling the truth as it is. Yeah, tell the truth as it is. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, shall make you free. I mean, she was heated and emotional, hostile, at first, when she was asking her questions. But, because of the brainwashing, of course, and it's sad, really. It's really sad. But, I mean, through the debate, you could actually see that she started to sort of like calm down. She was listening to him. She was, listening to Michael. Yeah, as he was, throwing fact after fact after fact after fact. And he even stayed polite. Yeah, that was well spoken. That was well spoken, Yeah, and my greatest desire is that, she discovers the truth and get to also live a, a better life, productivity, and contribute to society, in a positive way, and get to know that, in life, life is really, it's more, it's more than what your feelings project to you, simply because you feel something, it doesn't make it right or truth, it's similar to, people say, because I feel it, it's right. As long as if I feel it, then it's true. I'm going to do it. But that's not always the case. Just because you feel something, it doesn't always mean it's right. It's just like if I give you, an analogy, just because it's water, it doesn't mean that you should drink. You should drink it simply because it's water. No, it's like people don't drink water from the toilets, do they? They don't. But yet it's water. Why is it that they don't drink from the toilets? You see what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to put across? Just because it's something, it's a feeling, it doesn't always mean it's the right thing to do. I mean, guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. I really want to hear your views on this one.